The fight was ugly, not just raised voices and sharp words, but the kind of argument that cuts into places that were supposed to be safe. Things you thought would never be said, got said. Lines you thought would never be crossed, got crossed. And then she looks at you, eyes full of anger, hurt, fatigue, and says I'm done, we're over. In her mind, that's not the end of the story. It's the start of the reaction. She expects the follow-up scene, the late-night paragraphs, the please just listen calls, the we can fix this speeches, the anger, the bargaining, the emotional chaos. Whether she's fully conscious of it or not, your meltdown is already written into her script. It's the final chapter she thinks she needs to seal the decision, to justify it to herself, to her friends, and to her own conscience. Your chaos becomes her closure. Only this time, you don't give it to her. You don't call. You don't text. You don't send a long voice note explaining your side. Your social media doesn't turn into a performance of pain or passive-aggressive quotes. You go silent, not sulking, not posting I'm so done with everybody stories, not pretending you never cared. Just quiet. You disappear into your own life, your own thoughts, your own process. And at first, she tells herself, good, this is what I wanted. But as hours become days, and days slide into a week or two, something starts to shift. The silence that first felt like relief starts to feel like weight. The space you created starts to feel like an absence. The freedom she wanted starts to feel like a void. And a new question quietly walks in. Did I make a mistake? This isn't some rare, mystical scenario. It's a surprisingly common psychological pattern. Today, we're going to break it down. Not as a tactic, not as manipulation, but as a way to understand what actually happens inside her mind when you move on peacefully, and what that silence should really be about for you. 1. Why her brain was ready for your chaos. Before we talk about her reaction to your silence, you have to understand what she was ready for. Breakups are almost never decided in one moment. By the time she says, we're over, she has usually talked to friends and gotten validation, replayed past arguments in her favour, collected a mental list of your flaws, reframed good times as love bombing or the honeymoon phase, had private emotional rehearsals of leaving you. In her mind, she's been building a case, so when she finally pulls the trigger, she's holding on to a story. I had no other choice. He wasn't listening. We kept repeating the same patterns. I tried so many times. And in that story, you have a role. The emotional, reactive, can't let go ex. She expects drunk messages, we need to talk, text, endless explanations, emotional breakdowns, maybe even dramatic gestures. Every one of those reactions would feed the narrative. See, he's unstable. This is exactly why I had to end it. Your panic. Her justification. Your lack of control. Her sense of, I did the right thing. Most men, because they feel blindsided and shattered, fall right into that role. They try to argue their way back into her heart, but all they do is prove her fears correct. You think you're fighting for the relationship. She sees proof that it needed to die. 2. The moment you don't play your part. Now imagine the same breakup, same fight, same words, same final, I'm done. But your reaction is completely different. You feel the hit. It hurts. Your stomach drops. Your chest is tight. Your mind is racing. But instead of exploding outward, you direct that energy inward. You don't chase. You don't argue. You don't spam her phone. You don't try to assemble a courtroom defense of why she's wrong. You let the breakup be real, not because you don't care, because you care about something more, your self-respect. So you make 3 quiet decisions. I will not beg for someone who just chose not to be here. I will not perform my pain for attention or pity. I will not destroy myself emotionally to keep a door open that she just closed. You pull your energy back. You go still. You go silent. That silence is not emptiness. It's containment. It's you holding your frame when everything in you wants to shatter. And that one move, that calm, grounded silence, completely rewrites her mental script. She prepared for impact, and nothing hit. 3. And the first wave, confusion. At the beginning, she might feel relief. No crying messages, no begging, no drama, finally. But then the second day comes, and the third. Her phone stays quiet, her notifications stay empty. No long apologies, no, I can't sleep without you messages. That's when confusion creeps in. Why isn't he chasing? Did he already check out before I ended it? Was I not as important as I thought? Did I misjudge him? Understand something important. Her emotions are not a scoreboard of your value, but human psychology works in patterns, and your silence is not what she rehearsed. She expected your emotions to orbit her decision. Instead, your emotions have gone somewhere she can't see. You broke the choreography. You stepped off her emotional stage. That confusion is powerful because it's the first crack in the certainty she built around leaving you. 4. Why silence hits her harder than you think. Loss and scarcity. Two big psychological forces kick in when you go quiet. 4.1 Loss aversion. Losing feels worse than gaining feels good. The human brain hates loss. Losing $100 hurts more than gaining $100 feels good. Losing what you already had feels more intense than getting something new. When a breakup happens, she experiences loss. But if she's still arguing with you, still texting you, still fighting, the connection is technically still alive. You're still emotionally present, even if the relationship is over. When you go silent, you don't just lose the title of the boyfriend. You remove your presence. No more good morning, task, good night. No more, I just saw this meme and thought of you. No more quick calls on the way home. No more default person to text when something funny happens. The emotional background noise of you is gone. That absence is where loss aversion hits. It's not just we broke up. It's I don't have access to him anymore. And remember, her brain is wired to feel that loss more intensely than she felt the comfort of having you. 4.2 Scarcity. What's rare becomes valuable. When your attention, time and energy were always available, she got used to it. You were emotionally in stock, 24/7. But your silence changes that overnight, suddenly. Your attention is not on tap. Your energy is not for her by default. Your emotional space is closed to her. You become scarce. Scarcity increases perceived value, not because you're playing hard to get, but because human psychology naturally assigns more importance to what is not easily accessible. Your silence says, my attention is not free, my presence is not automatic, my peace comes before your curiosity. That combination, loss plus scarcity, is what starts pulling her mind back toward you. Not necessarily her heart yet, her mind. And once you're in her mind again, something else wakes up. 5. The open loop. Why her brain can't let it go. The human mind hates unfinished stories. There's a well-known phenomenon called the Zeigarnik effect. We tend to remember and obsess over incomplete tasks more than the completed ones. That's why you can't stop thinking about a movie you never finished. An argument with no resolution sits in your chest for days. A conversation cut short feels heavier than one that ended badly, but clearly your peaceful silence creates the ultimate unfinished story. In her mind, the proper breakup story was supposed to be fight breakup, emotional mess, final closure conversation, then fade out. What she got instead was fight breakup, nothing. No final argument, no huge explanation, no emotional bloodbath, just a cut, hard and clean. Her brain now has an open loop. What is he thinking? Does he hate me? Is he relieved? Did I actually matter? She can't close the tab in her head because she never got the ending she expected. So her mind keeps reopening it, replaying the last fight, analysing your last words, interpreting your silence from 50 different angles. That's not romance, that's neural wiring. The longer you stay calm and consistent in that silence, the louder that open loop becomes. 6. Cognitive dissonance. When her story stops matching reality. Now we layer something else. On top, cognitive dissonance. This is the stress we feel when our beliefs clash with our reality. In her head, she might be holding these two thoughts. Belief. A. Leaving him was the right choice. Belief. B. I can't stop thinking about him, and his reaction doesn't match the guy I thought he was. Those two clash. If you had gone into meltdown mode, belief A would be easy to maintain. C. He's unstable, obsessed, emotional. I was right. But your quiet stability, your lack of drama, your self-control, those work against her original story. So now her brain is under pressure to resolve that dissonance. It has two options. Double down on he was bad for me. This becomes harder when you're not doing anything new, and crazy she can use as evidence. Soften her original story to fit what she now sees. Maybe it wasn't as toxic as I painted it. Maybe I reacted too extreme. Maybe I was harsher than I needed to be. Her mind starts re-editing the movie. Suddenly, the good moments feel sharper in her memory. The laughs, the support, the small details come back. The worst fights start to feel less like proof, and more like two flawed people clashing. Your silence didn't magically make you perfect. It just removed the fresh fuel for her negative narrative. So now, to restore internal comfort, she unconsciously shifts your image upward. That is when the first genuine, what if I misjudged him, appears. 7. When silence looks like strength, and when it's actually abuse. Here's where we need to be brutally honest. Silence can look powerful, silence can look composed, silence can look attractive, but not all silence is the same. There are two versions: healthy, self-respecting silence. Manipulative, punishment-based, silent treatment. They might look similar from the outside, but the motive behind them is opposite. 7.1 Healthy silence. This is when the breakup is clear. You accept it. You choose to stop engaging, not to hurt her, but to protect yourself. You use the space to heal, reflect, rebuild. You're not pretending you don't care. You're just not volunteering your heart to someone who just walked away. Your silence is about your boundaries, not her emotions. It says, I'm not going to chase someone who doesn't want me. I'm not going to keep reopening a wound that needs to close. I'm not going to let my dignity bleed out over unread messages. That is strength. 7.2 Toxic silent treatment. This is different. This happens when you deliberately withhold communication as a weapon. You go silent in the middle of a relationship to punish her, not heal. You use silence to make her anxious, desperate, and begging for your attention. You turn communication into a tool of control. In that context, silence isn't noble. It's emotional abuse. The pull she feels then isn't attraction. It's anxiety, not respect, but conditioned fear of abandonment. So if you're a man listening to this, you need to check yourself. Am I being quiet to protect my peace? Or am I being quiet to hurt her and pull her strings? One is masculine self-control. The other is cowardly manipulation. Don't lie to yourself about which one you're doing. 8. Society's role. Why she often feels like she has to break the silence. Her reaction to your silence isn't just psychological. It's also social. Women are often raised, directly or indirectly, to be the emotional managers, the communicators, the fixers in relationships. Men are often raised to shut down, withdraw, go quiet when hurt or stressed. These are generalizations, not rules, but they matter. So after a breakup, when you go silent, several forces hit her at once. Her internal, I should fix this programming. Her friends asking, has he said anything? Her family saying, maybe you two should talk it out. Social media telling her that mature adults communicate and find closure. Suddenly, your silence isn't just him taking space. It becomes, in her mind, a kind of emotional problem she is expected to solve. Now mix that with fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear that she misplayed a good man, fear of looking like the one who ruined it, and you see why the pressure builds on her side to reach out first. Your silence becomes the blank screen everyone projects their expectations onto. 9. The dark side, when silence drags her back into abuse. We also need to talk about the situations where her urge to go back is not romantic at all, it's dangerous. In abusive relationships, silence is often part of a cycle. Tension building, explosion, verbal, emotional, or physical. Silent treatment, withdrawal, reunion, honeymoon phase. In that pattern, the silent phase is not peaceful. It's a weapon. He ignores her to punish her, refuses to talk to make her feel crazy, withholds affection to make her chase harder, uses silence to reset the power dynamic in his favour. She blames herself, panics over losing him, apologizes even when she's the one who was hurt, feels deep relief when he finally gives her attention again. That relief feels like love. It often isn't. It's a trauma bond. If her pull toward his silence is built on fear, shame, feeling not good enough, believing she's lucky he stays at all, then what she's feeling is not the same dynamic we're talking about with healthy silence. In those cases, the answer is not, how do I win him back? The real question is, how do I get out safely and stay out? So if you're a woman listening to this and you notice a repeating cycle of big fights, silent treatment, love bombing, you constantly apologizing just to get him to speak to you, your self-worth shrinking every month you stay, then his silence is not a sign of strength, it's evidence of control, and the pull you feel is a red flag, not a sign. 10. For men, what you do with your silence is everything. Let's bring this back to you as a man. Yes, silence after a breakup can make her question things, make her miss you, make her see you differently, even sometimes bring her back. But if that's your goal, you've already lost. Because you're still orbiting her. You're just orbiting in silence instead of text. The real purpose of moving on peacefully is not, I'll stay quiet so she comes running back. The real purpose is, I will not betray myself, even in pain. What should you actually be doing with that silence? Getting your sleep back under control, cleaning your space and keeping it that way. Training your body, not for a thirst trap, but for discipline. Handling your work, responsibilities and money like a man. Spending time with people who actually have your back. Reflecting honestly on where you failed and where you tolerated too much. You turn the breakup into fuel, not to impress her, to rebuild you. That's the difference between a guy who's quiet but stuck and a man who's quiet because he's busy becoming stronger. One is performing no contact. The other is practicing self-respect. 11. The real win, not her regret, your return. At some point in this process, if you actually use your silence well, something shifts. You stop asking, is she thinking about me? Will she regret it? Will she come back? And you start asking, am I proud of how I'm handling this? What did this breakup reveal about me that I need to fix? What kind of man am I building myself into now? That's when you know you're out of the emotional gravity of the relationship. If she reaches out then, you're not shaking, you're not waiting, you're not starving, you're evaluating. You can respond or not respond. You can talk or walk. You can reopen the door a crack or leave it closed, not from ego, from clarity. If she never reaches out, you're okay, because the biggest thing you got back wasn't her. It was you, your standards, your emotional control, your focus, your self-respect. And once a man learns how to hold on to those through the worst emotional storm, a breakup, betrayal, rejection, he becomes incredibly hard to break again. 12. The bottom line. So how does a woman really feel when you move on peacefully? Not always the same, not every time, not with every woman, but very often. Your silence breaks her script. Your absence triggers her sense of loss. Your self-control builds back her respect. Your growth creates doubt in her mind about leaving. Your scarcity increases your perceived value. Your detachment opens the door for her to re-examine her story. Sometimes that leads her back to you. Sometimes it just leads her back to herself. Sometimes it exposes her own issues. Sometimes it reveals yours, but the part that matters most isn't what she feels. It's what you choose to do, because someone else's silence, or your own, doesn't define your worth. How you respond to that silence does. Break yourself to chase, or build yourself to rise. The real goal after a breakup is not to win them back. The real goal is to win yourself back, fully. If you do that properly, everything else, whether they regret it, come back, or go their own way, becomes background noise to a much more important story. You becoming a man who doesn't lose himself over anyone again.